AskReddit by false hovercraft 669. What treasures that we 100% know existed still haven't been found? The shipwreck of Fleur de la Marche. Sunk with the equivalent of $2 billion in today's money. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/floor. This one and the treasure fleet are the only ones that seem super plausible to me, because ocean. You know, of all the lost treasures that I learned about from that book my 7-year bought at the Scholastic Book Fair a few months back. Portrait of a Young Man by Raphael. Missing since the end of WW2, all signs point to it having been sold for traveling money by Nazi Hans Frank. I'm convinced that the majority of missing artwork from WW2 is held by private collectors. Like that missing Picasso painting that just happened to be spotted in the living room of the former First Lady of the Philippines. A large part of Pompeii. What they have excavated so far takes an hour to walk through, but a huge part of it remains hidden. This is because they've found that being discovered is causing more damage to the remains than 2,000 years of being hidden beneath the pumice, and they are waiting for new technology to preserve it. I upvoted this because in the company I work for we developed a maintenance system for the archaeological park of Pompeii, and I'm involved in these things. Pompeii is fascinating. The missing Fabergé eggs. There are about 7 still missing, and only an old black and white photo remains of some of them, along with their descriptions. 7 eggs in the Imperial series are missing. 1886 The hen with sapphire pendant egg, last seen 1922. 1888 The cherub with chariot egg, last seen 1922, may have been exhibited in New York City in 1934. 1889 The Necessaire egg, sold by Wardski in 1952, has not been seen since. 1897 The Mauve egg, photo frame surprise still extant. 1902 The Empire Nephrite egg, the provenance of the found nephrite egg is contested. 1903 The Royal Danish egg. 1909 The Alexander III commemorative egg. The 1715 Spanish treasure fleet wreck will almost certainly never be 100% recovered, meaning there's still some out there. There is a pretty aggressive company with a fleet of underwater drones, and researchers find treasure ships banked by private investment partnerships. Deep Ocean Search recovered tens of tons of silver coins from City of Cairo, the deepest ocean treasure recovery, and turned it over to the UK government to get their salvage share. https://www.deeposensarc.com/project/steam-ship-city-of-cairo/ There are some amazing Spanish treasure wrecks, but their government says they are warships, and the gold and silver they took from native peoples and enslaved to extract more is government property. So professional treasure hunters are not focusing on finding those. I went to college beside that museum in Boston that got robbed. They never found the thieves or the paintings. The famous Gardner Museum theft. No one knows what happened to the paintings still. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum was one of the largest. https://www.smart-news/5-things-know-about-isabella-stewart-gardner-art-heist-180977448/closed bracket art heist sever. There was a really good Netflix documentary on it a few years back. Tomb of Alexander the Great. Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Funny thing is, they're all probably buried in Alexandria beneath the modern city. I saw a documentary recently where an archaeologist was looking for his tomb and dug in a park in Alexandria, finding a bust is Alexander buried very deep in further collapsed caverns, but those caverns are under blocks of flats and loads of development, so I've no idea if they'll ever be able to explore them. King John's crown jewels. lost while crossing the Wash on the east coast of England. Over 800 years ago. I'm surprised this is so far down. Maybe they were found and melted down, or never lost and just stole. If they're still out there and are discovered, they would be worth a fortune. This one really isn't talked about as much as it should. In 1996, billionaire couple Marvin and Kay Lichtman, who collected tons upon tons of priceless items, art, chess sets, Fabergé eggs, etc., were murdered by a glass installer that they hired. Before burning the house down, the glass installer made off with as much of the couple's riches as he could haul away. Shortly after, he tried to flee to avoid prosecution, and before he was caught, 3 men involved with the salvage operation at the scene were arrested for peddling items that were salvaged and they stole. Most of the Lichtman's collection, including the items stolen by the glass installer who murdered them, have never been found. That's pretty fucked up. Everyone was trying to get some. Heirloom seal of the realm, or the Imperial Chinese seal. Supposedly worth billions. Irish crown jewels. Likewise, the original English crown jewels were lost or sold after the Civil War. Stole Nazi artifacts buried deep in the Polish countryside. I found too many weapons as a kid, late 90s, and the stories from grandfather's finds as a child. Some crazy things must be stashed in the most bizarre places. If you do a little haggling, you can buy the crazy things from the proprietor of the stall in the bazaar. Tomb of Genghis Khan. I recently read a biography of Khan called Genghis Khan and the Creation of the Modern World. In it, the authors conclude that, most likely, he didn't have a tomb, as others here have said. What he did have was his spirit banner, which was held as a treasured artifact by the Mongolian peoples. Whether or not it truly belonged to him, I'll leave to experts. It was seized by the Soviets during the invasion of Mongolia in the 1920s, and disappeared. Likely, destroyed by the Soviets in an attempt to quell resistance there. Likely, but not definitively. The enormous golden menorah from the Second Temple. The Romans took it after sacking Jerusalem. Some people think it's being hidden by the Vatican, but I think more likely it was melted down and will never be found. It is far more likely that it is somewhere in modern-day Turkey. According to Procopius, Belisarius reclaimed it from the Vandals in Tunis in 533, who had looted it in the sacking of Rome a century earlier. Though there is no record of it being sent back to Constantinople, so it might still be in Tunis. About 83% of the cache is from Byron Price The Secret. Check out the show Expedition Unknown. There's several episodes focused on the search, most notably the Boston Puzzle, where they helped search and documented the find. AskReddit, the sarcophagus of Olav Haraldsson. Remember the Christian Viking from Vikings, Valhalla? Yeah, he was real. After his death, he became a saint and a bridge between Old Norse faith and Christianity. He was eventually laid to rest in a jewel-adorned sarcophagus in the Nidaros Cathedral. It was Northern Europe's biggest destination for pilgrims until the Reformation. When Norwegians broke with the Catholic Church, Olav's skrinnet, maybe with Olav still in it, disappeared. Buried under the cathedral? Sent to Denmark? Nobody knows. Same thing probably happened to it as happened to any ancient or medieval relic in Northern Europe during the Reformation, deliberately destroyed and melted down by the newly Protestant kings to fund wars they ultimately didn't win. That guy who accidentally threw away his Bitcoin hard drive and it still hasn't been recovered from landfill. Actually, there are probably a bunch of Bitcoin hard drive stories like this. Modern day treasure. I used to be slightly obsessed by this until I started working on a recycling startup and learned what actually happens at a landfill. The link below says it all. In short, it's a goner. https://www.reddit.com/r/toolgifs/s/b8mvrk. The Amber Room, Russian, tr. Jantane Akomnita, German, Bernstein Zimmer, was a chamber decorated in amber panels backed with gold leaf and mirrors, located in the Catherine Palace of Tsarskoye Selo near St. Petersburg. From Wikipedia, https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/amber_. People are still looking, mostly in Poland. How do you lose a room? A few of the original Fabergé eggs are still missing. Apparently one was found at a garage sale in the US a while back. There was one found at an antiques flea market in the American Midwest too. No one has any idea how it got there. https://www.jcconline.com/editorial-article/33-million-faberg-egg-found-at-flea-market/ The burial site of Genghis Khan is still unknown. It was not documented on purpose and it worked pretty well. Not document on purpose is the kind way to say they killed everyone who worked on it. The hoard of Aztec gold stolen and lost by Hernan Cortez and the Spanish conquistadors during the Night of Sorrows. While trying to escape from Tenochtitlan in the night with the gold, the conquistadors were set upon by the Aztecs. During the fighting and confusion it's thought the gold fell into Lake Texcoco. Hernan Cortez escaped with only a small number of his soldiers and the gold has never been found. https://en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/la_notch_triste. It's never going to be found considering that one of the most populous cities in the world sits on what was Lake Texcoco. Almost all Homo erectus pekinensis remains. They were packed up during WWII with the intention of shipping them from China to the US for safekeeping, but the ship supposedly carrying the fossils was attacked and ran aground. Photographs and drawings of the originals still exist but the actual fossils were never found. I read about this just recently. Fascinating. $190 million worth of Bitcoin on a hard drive in a particular landfill. https://news.bitcoin.com/man-plans-to-over-refusal-to-dig-for-750-0-lost-bitcoin-in-landfill/hash. I'll even go a step further. 1.1 million Bitcoin are sitting in their creators, Satoshi's, wallet, untouched. No one knows who he is or if he's even alive. I want to clarify that one more time. Not $1 million worth of Bitcoin. 1.1 million Bitcoin. That's $48,334,539,000. Not really a treasure. But currently the US is still missing 6 nuclear bombs. One might have been found by a Soviet sub, but that is not confirmed. Missing? How TF do you lose a nuke, bro? Watch Expedition Unknown on HBO Max. Josh Gates goes after a different lost treasure in most episodes. I love Josh Gates. I also love how he just keeps putting the same show on TV every year with a different name.